Regret is rarely a loud crash. It's a shadow. It stands quietly in the corner of the room, patient and cold, waiting for the noise of the day to fade. It waits until the lights go out and you are left alone with nothing but your own heartbeat. Before we step into that darkness, hold on for just a moment. If stories like this one stir something within you, please take a second to like this video and subscribe. It truly helps me continue sharing these narratives with you. I'd also love to know, where are you listening from tonight? Are you tucked away in a quiet town where the crickets sing, or are you watching the city lights from a high-rise window? Let me know in the comments. For me, the unraveling began on a Tuesday in late October. The weather was unforgiving, an early blizzard that had been battering the glass walls of our house since morning, wrapping the world outside in a suffocating sheet of white. My husband, Arthur, was in Tokyo. He'd been gone for 4 days on a trip scheduled for 10. That was our normal. Arthur was a man of skylines, boardrooms, and international flights. Our marriage was a well-oiled machine, stable, polite, and completely devoid of friction. We were like two statues in a gallery, perfectly preserved, sharing the same space, but never actually touching. The house, a modern architectural marvel of steel and glass, always felt vast and clinical when he was gone. It wasn't a home, it was an echo chamber. I had just finished my work for the day, closing my laptop in the study. The house was submerged in shadow, the only sound the wind howling against the panes. I headed toward the kitchen, thinking a cup of tea might warm the chill that had settled in my bones, when I heard it. It was a sound from the guest wing, ragged, sharp, and repetitive. The sound of someone gasping for air. I checked my watch. It was past midnight. Leo, my stepson, should have been asleep hours ago. He was 23, a brilliant but introverted musician finishing his conservatory training. He usually haunted the music room or his quarters, avoiding the main living areas just as diligently as I did. We were courteous strangers, roommates bound by a marriage certificate that belonged to neither of us. I walked down the long hallway. "Leo?" I called out softly. No answer. Just that terrible, wet gasping sound, louder now. A spike of genuine fear pierced through my indifference. Leo was composed. He was precise.
He didn't make sounds like that.
I reached his door. The air here felt different, charged, heavy. The door was slightly ajar. I pushed it open. The room was dark, lit only by the frantic gray light of the blizzard outside. He wasn't in bed. He was sitting on the floor with his back against the wall, knees pulled to his chest. He was gripping his hair with both hands, rocking slightly. "Leo?" I stepped inside, the floorboards cold beneath my bare feet. "What's wrong?" He looked up, and the terror in his eyes stopped me cold. He looked like a trapped animal. I can't breathe," he choked out. "The walls. They're closing in." "It's a panic attack," I realized aloud, moving toward him instinctively. "Leo, listen to me. You're hyperventilating." "I feel like I'm dying," he wheezed, his chest heaving violently.
Please.
"I'm dying." "You are not dying," I said, my voice dropping into a firm, commanding tone I didn't know I possessed. "Your body is tricking you. It's just adrenaline." I knelt in front of him. The air between us was thick, smelling of rain and the faint, sharp scent of ozone. "Look at me." He shook his head, his eyes rolling back slightly. "I can't feel my hands." "Yes, you can." I reached out and took his wrists. His skin was clammy, his pulse thundering like a trapped bird against my fingertips. "Feel that? That's you. You are right here. You are solid." I should have let go once his breathing hitched and began to steady. I should have stood up, fetched him a glass of water, and retreated to the safety of my role as the distant stepmother. But I didn't. I slid my hands up from his wrists to his shoulders to steady him. Under my palms, I felt the tremors in his body begin to subside. The atmosphere in the room shifted instantly. The medical urgency evaporated, replaced by something heavy, magnetic, and dangerous. Leo went perfectly still. His dark eyes, previously darting in panic, locked onto mine. He didn't pull away. He leaned forward, just an inch into my touch. Is it passing? I whispered. The silence in the room was deafening. Yes, he breathed. We stayed like that for a long time. The storm raged outside, but in that dark room, the world had narrowed down to the heat of his skin and the weight of my hands on him. I saw him then, not as Arthur's son, but as a man who was just as lonely, just as starving for connection as I was. I pulled my hands back slowly, the separation feeling physical, like tearing a seam. "You're okay?" I said, my voice trembling. "Try to sleep." "Claire," he said. It was the first time he had ever used my first name without a title attached. "Thank you." I didn't think anyone saw me. "I see you," I murmured. I turned and fled the room, closing the door behind me. I went to my bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed, my hands shaking, my heart hammering a rhythm that had nothing to do with fear. The next 3 days were an exercise in torture. The house became a labyrinth of avoidance. If he was in the kitchen, I stayed in the studio. If he was in the living room, I went for a walk in the snow. But the energy had changed. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was full of unspoken words. Every accidental glance was like a lightning strike. Friday evening arrived. Arthur was landing the next morning. The surreal bubble we were living in was about to pop. I was in the kitchen, staring blindly at a coffee machine, when the air shifted. I didn't need to turn around to know he was there. "Stop running," he said. His voice was steady, stripped of the panic from Tuesday night. I turned slowly. Leo was standing in the doorway. He looked tired, but his gaze was unwavering. "I'm not running," I lied, crossing my arms defensively. "You are," he stepped closer. "We both are. We're pretending Tuesday didn't happen. We're pretending that when you touched me, it didn't feel like the first real thing that's happened in this house in years." "Leo, don't," I warned, though my resolve was crumbling. "You were vulnerable. I was helping. It was nothing more." Was it? He closed the distance between us. He didn't touch me, but he stood close enough that I could feel the heat radiating from him. "Because I think you're just as lonely as I am. I think you're drowning in this house, Claire." The truth is a sharp weapon. It cut right through my defenses. I looked at him, really looked at him, and realized he was right. The politeness, the schedules, the empty efficiency of my marriage, it was a cage I had built for myself. "It doesn't matter what I feel," I whispered. "It's wrong." "Maybe," he said softly, "but it's the truth." He reached out and took my hand. His fingers interlaced with mine. I didn't pull away. For a moment, we just stood there, holding on to the only real thing in a world of glass and snow. Then, I gently squeezed his hand and let go. "You're right," I said, my voice gaining strength. "I am drowning. But grabbing onto you isn't the way to save myself. It would only pull you down with me." He looked at me, confusion and hurt warring in his eyes. "I can't do this, Leo. Not because I don't feel it," I admitted, tears pricking my eyes. "But because I need to leave this house for me. Not for a secret. Not for a scandal. I need to leave because I've realized I'm already gone." Arthur came home the next morning. He walked in with his suitcase and his duty-free scotch, talking about the flight and the turbulence. He didn't notice the suitcases sitting by the door. He didn't notice that my ring was sitting on the marble counter. "Where are you going?" he asked, finally looking up, his brow furrowed in mild confusion. "I'm going to find a life that isn't quiet," I said. I looked at Leo one last time. He was standing on the landing above, watching. He didn't smile, but he nodded, a silent acknowledgement. He understood. The spark between us hadn't been the start of an affair. It had been the flare that showed me the exit. I walked out into the cold, crisp air. The snow had stopped. The sky was a brilliant, blinding blue. For the first time in years, the silence didn't scream. It just felt like a beginning. Thank you for listening to my story. It's a heavy thing to carry, but sharing it makes the load a little lighter. If this story spoke to you, or if you understand what it means to find yourself in the middle of a storm, please give this video a like. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can join us for the next story.